Alright guys, look at all these demo bikes. Alright, so today we're going to take out the Fat Bob, not to be confused with the Fat Boy. So this one actually has a smaller frame. This actually is the upgrade. It actually has the 114 engine. So you can also get it in the 107. But they don't consider this, I don't think they consider it to be a special. Usually with the special, you actually get the 114, but I don't think they really call it the Fat Bob special. I guess it's just a Fat Bob 114. All right, so let's see if we can turn this on. There's the ignition. There's all your fancy lights. Looks like it has a digital and a analog, which is pretty interesting. All right, make sure it's a neutral. Pull on the clutch to start it. Right there. Has your standard Harley Davidson mirrors that are really hard to move, which is interesting. All right, all right. Pretty nice. So the big number in the middle is your mile per hour, and this is your tach. That's kind of interesting. Instead of your miles per hour being right out in front, it's your RPM. A little bit different. All right, so what I'm going to do, this says pegs. I love pegs more than the floorboards. So take a look at this on the clutch. I like to see kind of how far out before we start grabbing. Maybe an inch and a half. It's always good to kind of figure out your friction zone in your clutch before you take off. All right, it feels pretty light. Not too bad. All right, here we go. Nice. Whoa, it's really super twitchy. Let's see, the back brakes. I got to get going a little bit more before I actually feel the back brakes. The steering is like really interesting. I guess it's because it has the kind of a straight handlebar. It gives you kind of a different feel for the handling, which is interesting. Wow. Super fast with that 114. And since it's a lighter bike too, you really jump off the line with this thing. You can definitely feel a little bit of road vibration on this one, which is interesting. Make sure I don't lose my phone out of my back pocket. The seat's really narrow on this one. I can't feel my phone, so I don't know if it's still in my pocket. All right, so this one, this is a really fun bike. Super fun. Super fun. Wow. Oh yeah. All right, so I'm gonna close the visor so I don't lose my audio here. But yeah, this is it almost gives you it almost feels like a Sportster, like an Iron or something. Like the Iron 1200, only it's like an upgrade from the Iron to where it's a lot more stable. This seems like this has a lot more power too. So an interesting feel. Gives you kind of a almost like a raw feeling on the motorcycle. All right, so the only thing I don't really like is that you have to look down quite a bit and you have to figure out where your miles per hour are on this thing. I'd almost prefer kind of the opposite, where you have the miles per hour on the dial up on the top and the RPM down in the digital stuff down here, which seems to be kind of the standard. I don't know why they kind of flipped this one where it's backwards. So the seat on this, even though it's really narrow, it still feels really comfortable actually. And of course with the fatter front tire, that gives you a lot more stability on the highway, more stability on the road, more stability for slow speed. So when you're doing slow speed maneuvers, you know, when you're going about 2 miles an hour, it's really super stable with that fat front tire. So for just a little bike, just kind of zooming around the city, this would be awesome. Let's see, let's bring it up, get a little more speed. it's not too bad at higher speeds. I'm going 62. Not as bad as a Sportster. You can definitely feel some road vibration, but it's not too bad actually. You could probably do some highway driving on this thing. The seat so far is still really comfortable. Has a lot of kind of like tailbone support right around my tailbone. I love these pegs. The thing I like about the pegs is I can pivot my feet back and forth. It kind of gets rid of that ankle fatigue. I've been riding floorboard after floorboard, bike after bike, and it feels so refreshing to actually be able to move my ankles and kind of stretch them out a little bit versus your feet always are in one position. And it seems like on this one, it seems like the pegs are a little bit lower to where my knees are like kind of like even with the gas tank, which for me is a lot more comfortable. So I'm actually like 6'4", 235 pounds. So I'm pretty big. And this bike is very comfortable. Pretty nice. Definitely more road vibration than you'd see like on a Road King. That Road King was like buttery smooth on the road. This one you can definitely feel a lot of the bumps. Let's see, the rear brakes, really good. Rear brakes are really good. Alright, so let's pull up slow speed. Perfect. That's one thing I like about the thick front tire. You can go like 2 miles an hour. It's just like you can balance really well at really super slow speeds. It's super nice. This one's got plenty of power. It has more of you know, a lot of these have 114s in them, but the bigger heavy bikes seem like they're a lot slower, especially like the Road King with the 114. Seems like it's a lot slower than this one just because it's a heavier bike. This one just really picks up and goes just because it's so light. You can definitely feel going almost 60 now. Yeah, it's a pretty rough, I'd say, compared to a lot of the other ones. Maybe smoother than a Sportster. Pretty stiff, I'd say. Kind of firm. But not too bad. I think it's just because this road's pretty bumpy too. It's almost like a, it looks smooth looking at the road, but it's kind of like a washboard road on this one. So, not too bad, not too bad. It's a fun little bike. It's definitely up there in the fun factor. Probably one of the funner bikes. You know, some bikes gives you kind of a different feel as far as kind of how you feel on the bike. And some bikes are just fun. Like that Sportster S was super fun. That was probably one of the funnest. This one is super fun. It just seems just small and maneuverable and really, I don't know what it is about this bike. It has a lot of power. And the other thing is, it just has more stability than you think it would have going down the road. I think it's because of the bigger tires on this. I kind of wish on this one that they kind of do the, you know, I really didn't like it at first when they put the speedometer little thing right on the handlebar, like right here. But after riding a few bikes with that on there, it just seems like it's a better system than having to kind of look down at a display, because you have to almost take your eyes off the road to see how fast you're going. Versus if it's up here on the handlebars, it just seems like you don't really have to take your eyes off the road that much. So, I don't know, pros and cons, either way. The display, the speedometer down on the gas tank gives it more of a classic look. You can tell they kind of moved this one up more. The Road King was like way further down, and it seemed like you really had to be distracted as far as taking your eyes off the road to kind of look down. Alright, so I'm gonna pop my visor because I know when I slow down Somebody gets steamed out. Back brakes are great. Let's see how it turns around here in a small little turning radius. I'm guessing this is probably one of the best to turn. I don't know. I think it's a little bit harder just because the handlebars are kind of straight across. It makes it a little bit harder to kind of turn around. I think you just have to kind of get used to it because it's a completely different feel, like a different steering dynamic when you go really slow with like a straight handlebar. Felt pretty good, but it just felt like I needed to get used to it a little bit more. All right, let's see what this thing can do. Wow. Yeah, I couldn't even tell how fast I was going because I looked down and all I could see was 4,000 RPM. It's like, oh yeah, that's not the speed. That's the that's the tachometer. I think I was doing about 60. So 0 to 60 pretty quick. I'd say probably quicker than almost any car on the road. Quicker than the Road King. Quicker than a lot of your bikes. Maybe not as quick as the Sportster S. That was probably one of the fastest Harley Davidsons that I rode. I love that Sportster S. The Sportster S was pretty surprising. It didn't look like it'd be that stable on the road. It was a lot smoother than this, a lot more stable it seemed like. But this is a fun bike too. But the thing is, the Sportster S has a completely different engine in it, so it has the engine from the Pan America, which is not really the traditional Harley Davidson engine. This has more of the traditional Harley Davidson engine, the V-twin. I think this is just the V-twin in this one. With the 114, yeah. I really like that you're kind of sitting in the bike. You know, some bikes, it feels like you're on top of the bike. This one almost seems like, normally on a bike like this, you'd have the feeling that you were on top of the bike. But this one, you just kind of sink down into it a lot more than, you know, like a lot of your sport bikes. Like that Sportster S kind of felt like you're almost up on top of it. I've ridden like the BMW 1000 RR, like a true sport bike like that one. That one felt like you were actually on top of the bike. Like the bike you hit a bump and the bike would just flip out from underneath it. This one feels like you're kind of sunk into the bike a little bit more. And then you have, for example, the Street Bob. The Street Bob, it feels like you're really sunk down into it with the raised handlebars. It feels like more of a chopper style where you're like really far into the bike. It's like a completely different feeling than this one. This one's kind of like in between, like a chopper feel and a sport bike. So it's comfortable. It's kind of comfortable. Just the stance gives you that almost like a fun factor kind of a feel, because like the front end is like right there. And it's super fast. This thing is super fast. You can just pick up and go. This bike is so fun. I don't know, it seems like every bike has pros and cons. It's hard to pick a bike. I mean, if you get on the line and you go bike after bike after bike, it's like everyone has pros and cons. It's almost like you want them all. It's hard to pick one. I don't know. For me, I think the Road King Special was hard to beat. For me, that was But it was a completely different bike than this. This is like a fun, this would be like a fun city bike. If you lived in the city, this would be ideal. You'd probably get better gas mileage with a small little bike like this. It's got a lot of power and stability. It's just super fun. And the fact that it's not hurting me, that too. And the fact that it doesn't have floorboards. I love kind of stretching my ankles on this one, which is really nice. So after this, I think we have one more demo, and I'll have to come back tomorrow to do the rest. I think I did 8 bikes today already, so maybe I'll hit 9 Harley Davidsons. They brought the big 18-wheeler truck. Of course, it is starting to rain a little bit. I see a little bit of rain up on my visor. On one of my rides, I got sprinkled on pretty good, but not too bad. So yeah, this definitely has a lot more vibration through the handlebars. Going 55 than a lot of your bikes. I just came off the Heritage Classic. That had a little bit of vibration coming up through the handlebars, but not like this. This is even more. I think the regular sports, like an Iron 1200, would have even more road vibration. I don't know. For me, it just seemed like the Iron 1200 was a lot less stable than a lot of your Harleys. I don't know. Smells like burning rubber. I think that's something in front of me. I don't know what it is. It smells like a tire's on fire or something. Hopefully it's not this bike. I don't think I'd smell this bike, but even if it started on fire. Pretty nice. I would definitely buy this bike. This is a fun little bike. I don't know if I take this bike like cross country on the highway going 80. Probably not. But just for short on the highway, I think you could go, probably easily can go 65 on this, and you wouldn't have any problems. Look at that. You just pull up to a stop, and it is so nice doing slow speeds with this. It's just so stable at slow speeds. Probably the most stable. This and the Fat Boy, because the Fat Boy's got a bigger frame on it. So it's like this, only with the fatter frame. This is like a bike you just want to buy and throw in the back of your pickup. Take anywhere bike. It feels like it's so light. Like you could just take it in. I bet it would you could probably fit 3 of these in the back of your pickup. Which would be pretty funny. Versus like, you really wouldn't want to put like a full dresser, in the back of your pickup or anything like that. Alright, so we are back at the beginning here. Let's see what this truck is doing here. Alright, so we have to follow the red arrows through the parking lot. Would I buy this bike? Yes, I would definitely buy this bike. If I had the money, I might even buy 2 or 3 of them. So we can all go riding together. And I'll just throw them all in the back of the pickup. We can have one big party all riding there. Fat Bob 114s. Pretty awesome. Let's see where they want me here. I think there might be a spot up there. Maybe. Maybe it's a good spot. The thing that I guess the hard thing to get used to on this bike is the kind of the straight handlebars. Take a little bit more getting used to on this one, which is kind of weird. You wouldn't think that just the handlebars would have that much of an effect. So I learned that you really have to pull these bikes over with the kickstand to kind of lean them way over, because a lot of people aren't leaning them over enough. And the guy was actually coming over, going down the line and pulling all the bikes to get them to lean over a little bit more. Which last year I was kind of worried that they were just too far up and down. Apparently you got to really crank on them. All right, so there you go. That is the Fat Bob 114. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along, and I will see you next time.